Here at the table with me tonight, Maya Wiley, civil rights attorney, former assistant U.S. attorney, president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, Coalition of Civil Rights Organizations. Elie Mystal, justice correspondent for The Nation. It's good to have you here. The sort of wedge approach, right? That's the key point here is like Popular Front coalition in defense of American democracy against its enemies, who are a sizable but minority faction in American life. How effectively do you think he did that?
Well, I think he made the choice very stark and clear. He did two things, I think, in his speech, which one was to say, I'm not talking about all Republicans, I'm talking about MAGA Republicans, and making that distinction. Because what he was saying is those who oppose rights, those who oppose the rule of law, those who believe in the big lie that there's election fraud and therefore want to win when they've lost and violently take over the country is actually what we're fighting against. And I think that is a recognition that there's a majority of the country that understands that's wrong and that's bad. And at the same time, I found it fascinating that while he made references to race, he made references to equality, to the fight for abolition in part of that speech, that so much of the big lie was actually driven by white ethno-nationalism. Yeah. When we're talking about white supremacy, we're talking about what has driven the lie, which is the fear of the fact that we are a plural democracy.
He did use the term white supremacist once towards the end and did mention that, which I...
Yeah, I don't know who it's not all Republicans, just MAGA Republicans are for. Like, I'm sure that there are some white supremacists who will vote with white supremacists who don't think they're white supremacists, who are happy that Biden didn't call them a white supremacist, but, like, it's not for me. What was for me, and you mentioned this already, but this is, I think, a really great bit, where he says to the heckler, that dude, that man, that person from the other side is entitled to be outrageous.
Totally.
And that, to me, that is the difference between Biden and Trump. Totally. That is the difference between me and Jenny Thomas. Right. That is the difference between Democrats and Republicans, because Republicans right now would have that heckler be beaten.
Right.
They would say that heckler.
I don't know all Republicans, but Donald Trump
would certainly say
certainly
that
has a record for saying
right. And Lindsey Graham would be like, okay, boss. Like, that's how they are at this point, right? And so when Biden says that heckler is entitled to be outrageous, how can you hear that, understand what he meant? You heard the whole time that guy was yelling into the microphone. How can you hear Biden say that and not understand about the critical difference between both parties at this point?
It was an interesting moment because it was a sort of democracy in action, right? Like, literally the definition of a free society is one in which you can get a bullhorn and yell at the president. Yep. Like, almost definitionally.